learn more about eTIMS. So thank you very much for this time, for creating your time. So as we wait for our presentation, then Ian, how are we faring on with the slide? I hope everyone can see what is presented on our screen. James is saying yes, you can be able to see. You're very welcome, Kamau. Welcome. I hope
You're not
everyone can
late.
see what is
We are yet to
presented on our
begin.
screen. So we appreciate that you made it on time. Yes, Anthony, I'm glad that all of you can be able to see our screen. So on that note, then we can begin. Ian, you can take it over.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll just go straight into the presentation, but of course, I'll be able to at least touch on the key areas. But in case I haven't, of course, my colleague will just do a follow through, just as a reminder on those areas that maybe I might have skipped. So as I mentioned earlier, we are from the eTIMS project team. So first of all, we want to say, just as a query, what is eTIMS? So eTIMS is the electronic tax invoice management system. So of course, as Kenyans, we know previously there was a version of TIMS. TIMS is normally, I believe most of you have maybe gone to the supermarket to purchase a good, probably. It's normally that receipt that you're normally given by the teller. So that's what we are calling an invoice or a receipt. So that particular device that you're actually given produces the receipt. That's now what's called a TIMS device or an ETR device. So keep in mind, every one of us has at least interacted with either TIMS in this case. So any purchase you might have made, and maybe you have been given maybe a receipt based on your purchase. That's from an ETR device. And now there's another version of the same, which is now called eTIMS. So eTIMS is just an enhancement on the side of TIMS, but the authority still supports both TIMS and eTIMS. So when you're saying eTIMS, you're saying electronic tax invoice management system, meaning eTIMS can be installed on any device that you currently have. Of course, you may want to compare just to know the difference between TIMS and eTIMS. As I've said also, TIMS is device-based, which is more of an ETR device, the one that normally maybe receive receipts from supermarkets, ETCs, nearest shop. Whereas on the side of, am I audible? Kindly confirm before I proceed.
You are audible enough. Can hear you.
Okay, so on the side of eTIMS, you're basically saying eTIMS is basically free, meaning you do not need to purchase an ETR device for you to receive the eTIMS. So assuming today you are having maybe a smartphone, a laptop, a tablet, maybe you even have a kabambe in that instance, eTIMS can also be used as a mode of issuing an invoice. Keep in mind, that's why we are saying tax invoice management system. It's a mode of invoicing. So by bare virtue of eTIMS being available based on what's readily available to the taxpayer, that's why we are saying it's free. Of course, apart from that, we also have heard concerning the related return. So anything that has been transmitted to from either TIMS or eTIMS, you can also be able to receive the same data when you go to file for your VAT returns, for example. So on the side of easy stock control, the eTIMS platform also has a stock management module. So for those maybe who may have maybe various shops, they may want to take charge of their stock, for example. So it allows you to manage your stock as well. But keep in mind for those also who are doing supplies can also onboard on either eTIMS so that they can be able to issue out their various invoices. Of course, as we proceed during this presentation, we'll also be able to at least highlight on the difference between the various solutions for eTIMS so that at least when you do an application, you are able to at least know which eTIMS solution is best suited for you. So this is just a highlight of why we are actually using the electronic tax invoice system. The major one, which is of course to increase tax revenue, because of course it's our duty also as Kenyans to remit revenue, of course, to facilitate in terms of our various businesses. Kindly confirm, are my screens moving or is it static? Kindly confirm.
It's still static. Yeah, it's not moving.
Okay, because I've been moving. Just a minute.
No, it's not moving. Calvin, I believe they're working on it, so you'll be able to see them presented once again. Ian, apologies for this. We are going to begin shortly once again. Sure, Chris. Yes, we're going to do that.
Kindly confirm if you can see my screen.
Yes, it's visible. Yeah.
I think I'll have to leave it from this end because I think when I maximize it, it remains.
Yeah, everybody has confirmed they can see your screen once again, Ian, so we can proceed. As we proceed, I'd like to introduce Chris, the sign language interpreter, going to help us sign. So welcome, Chris. Sorry for that you joined the meeting late. Yeah, sorry to our esteemed experts for that. You can go. Welcome, Chris.
Kosa? Kindly confirm if you can see my screen. So as I was mentioning before, we have various advantages of having eTIMS. So we've just taken you across this various field. So I was finishing up on saying on the stock management. So for those who maybe have stock management, may want to maybe manage their stocks in relation to their business, they can also do so via various eTIMS solutions. So this is just as I was touching on the importance of electronic invoicing. Of course, apart from increase of revenue, we're also looking at enhancing compliance, because this one also allows us to be able to at least verify end-to-end transaction users. Another thing is enhanced transparency and efficiency, because the various solutions for eTIMS can allow you to continue your business regardless of whatever is readily available to you. So assuming today you're a taxpayer, you only have maybe a kabambe, you can also be able to issue an invoice using the USSD. If you're maybe using the citizen, you can also do so. You can proceed to onboard either eTIMS for online and eTIMS for client, but of course I'll proceed to explain the various solutions, what they mean. So this is just a legal framework that shows the various sections that back up electronic tax invoicing. So we have value-added tax, which is of section 42. Of course, we'll proceed to look at this one as we proceed on the presentation. This one just says that the commission allows you to issue an invoice electronically, which is via either eTIMS or TIMS. So we are saying we have eTIMS and TIMS, yet there are those taxpayers who can onboard. So taxpayers who are onboarding are either VAT or non-VAT taxpayers. So in this case, we are saying if you are a non-VAT taxpayers, you can onboard either eTIMS for online, for client, or maybe eCitizen or USSD. So for a non-VAT taxpayer, can onboard any of the solutions. But for those who are VAT taxpayers, can only onboard the eTIMS for either online or client. Keep in mind when I say eTIMS for online, I mean for those who are dealing with either services purely. So for those who are dealing with services purely, are going to onboard eTIMS online. For those who are dealing with goods and services, they're going to onboard eTIMS client. So that's the difference between eTIMS online and eTIMS client. Apart from those ones, we are saying we also have other simplified solutions, which are also two. Simplified solutions are eTIMS for eCitizen and USSD. Those ones work hand in hand, and for those and for taxpayers who are non-VAT. So that's the difference between eTIMS for online, which is for services. eTIMS for client is for those who are dealing with goods and services. Keep in mind both VAT and non-VAT taxpayers can onboard these platforms. But on the side of the citizen and USSD, it's strictly for taxpayers who are non-VAT, meaning you do not have a VAT obligation on your either on your PIN. So I hope at least you've gotten a difference between the various solutions, the eTIMS for online for services, client for those who are dealing with goods and services. For simplified solutions which contain USSD and eCitizen are only for taxpayers who are non-VAT. So if you're a VAT taxpayer, not on board the side of eCitizen or USSD, but if you're a non-VAT, you can onboard any of the solutions. So here, just as a point to highlight, so assuming maybe there's this Mambogo may want to supply to maybe a hotel. So, normally a hotel may want to claim those particular purchases they've made from maybe Mamboga. So Mamboga do so. They can also, it's more like buying bundles, for example, by USSD. So he or she can decide, for example, to dial star 222 hash, and decide to dial star 222 hash, then proceed to actually capture the PIN of the person they are selling to. So by that virtue, the restaurant or hotel that may have been supplied for, they'll also be able to claim expenses as part of their annual returns. So those are called allowable expenses. So that's why Mamboga may want to maybe dial star 222 hash so that the hotel also can claim that as part of their expense. So that's just one of the scenarios. Of course, there are other scenarios which are also applicable, but I'll be able to do the same as we proceed. So here is some of the solutions that I've just explained. So I was just actually explaining this in summary. That's why I've told you about the simplified solutions, which is on the first top left tab. So here contains the USSD. The SSD is *222# which actually works with the citizen as well. So you can either onboard *222# or the citizen point of bit. But keep in mind this one work hand in hand and for taxpayers who are non-VAT. So if you are a VAT taxpayer, do not onboard the simplified solution. Do not use the *222# or the citizen platform. For those ones who are on the online portal, which is the one on the yellow tab, so suited for taxpayers who are dealing with services only. So that's the difference which I was first explaining on. Online services, online is purely for taxpayers who are dealing with services. The eTIMS client is for those who are selling goods and services. Keep in mind all these solutions. A taxpayer who is non-VAT can onboard all of them. But if you are a VAT registered taxpayer, you can only onboard the one for eTIMS for online or e-client. So lastly, there's a system, which is the last tab. So for those who have maybe QuickBooks, ETCs, they may want to integrate that their system with that of KRA. They can proceed to integrate their various billing systems with that of KRA. So I hope at least you've understood the difference between the various solutions for eTIMS. As I've said, there's a simplified solution, which is for USSD, which is *222#. Then you can also onboard on Citizen for non-VAT taxpayer. Other options of eTIMS for online and eTIMS for client
Ian,
for goods and
sorry,
services.
sorry for distracting you. Someone was saying they can't see the slide. I hope everyone can see. Can you confirm that you can see our slide? Winnie, you were saying you can't see the presentation. I believe you can. Peter, yes, the training is not NGO. Okay, we are speaking on ET and on light or to NGOs. It's for everyone. So if you have any questions, yes, this is the right training for you. Chris, sorry to disrupt you, but can you move to a clear background? The taxpayers are saying they're concerned. They're concerned of those who can't. They're saying they can't see you. You can change your background, please. Move to a place where there is light, Chris. And yes, everyone now say they can see on slide 7. Yes. Yes, we can proceed, Ian. Sorry for that. Yes, eTIMS is also for everyone. eTIMS is for everyone. So yes, can proceed, Ian.
So we'll continue.
Yes, Chris. I believe you can. They can be able to see you. I believe you can see screen. This screen is clear now. Ian, are we together? We lost you, Ian. I don't know if we're together.
Kindly confirm if I'm audible.
Yes, you are. We can proceed.
So are you able to see my screen as well?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so from here we are saying how to onboard eTIMS. So we are saying for anyone doing businesses or persons who are in business, they'll require to onboard on eTIMS. So we want to know how are you going to onboard eTIMS. So as I've mentioned also, there are those who are non-VAT taxpayers and for those who are VAT taxpayers. So you can onboard eTIMS for those who are non-VAT, you can onboard any platform. But of course, you can onboard either eTIMS online or eTIMS client based on your nature of business, whether it's goods and services or goods alone. So the first thing you'll have to do is search for etims.kra.go.ke. So once log in on your profile, once you log in on your profile, you can search for either eTIMS taxpayer portal, search for etims.kra.go.ke. So once you've done that, you can also you'll also be able to do a service request. That service request involves you uploading two documents. So those two documents are the ID of the director and a filled out commitment form. So the ID of one of the directors can also suffice. The commitment form can be found on our KRA website under publications. So keep in mind there are two requirements. So keep in mind the two requirements for you to onboard eTIMS. The two requirements are a national ID of the director and a filled out commitment form. So the commitment form, you can find it on our website under publications. After you've done so, you'll receive an approval from our end. Then you can now start generating invoices and transmitting them as well. So this is just a simplified process on how to onboard eTIMS. But of course, once you've logged in on this platform, it has given out a layout on how to onboard as well as issuing out of your invoices. So this is just a breakdown on how to onboard eTIMS. So here we are saying you can access through your browser. Once you've done so, you actually receive an OTP. So once you've received an OTP, that will allow you to just verify the phone number that's used for registration. So once you've done so as well, this is just to redirect you to be able to access the interface that we normally have. They prompt you to initialize. So on the initializing side, it's just as soon as the taxpayer has now been approved, they'll normally go to our website, then proceed to download the application. But of course, if you find it difficult to do it from your own end, we also offer assistance on the same. So you can visit maybe your nearest station, whichever, wherever you are stationed, then you'll be able to be assisted in terms of onboarding on eTIMS. So assuming maybe today you want to onboard on eTIMS, you've gone to etims.kra.go.ke and you are unable to, you can actually visit our station to be able to do the entire process from end to end. So for those who may want, for example, this one I can see is on the side of the citizen. So you can just search on your browser. For those who already have an eCitizen account, once you are logged in, when you scroll down, there's an icon for KRA that would allow you to activate e-invoicing. So for those who already have an eCitizen account, they can just log into their normal eCitizen portal, then go to click on their KRA logo where it's stationed for invoicing. You'll be able to activate e-invoicing. For those who are using USSD, which is *222#, it automatically takes you step by step through the entire process. So it's not something that you can actually skip a process. Same applies to the citizen, but keep in mind, this is for those who are non-VAT taxpayers. For those who are non-VAT can also onboard on either eTIMS online or client based on the nature of their business. So this is just a highlight on the USSD bit. This, of course, focusing on the non-VAT taxpayers. They're just step one for dialing *222#. This is on the side of the USSD. After you clicked on tax payment, which is number 5, it will allow you to now prompt. It will now prompt you to actually self-register Keep in mind the USSD and the Citizen does not require an approval from our end, meaning something you can do it at the comfort of your own home to be able to register as an individual or a company, for example, as long as you're a non-VAT taxpayer. So of course, it will proceed to input the ID and year of birth, which will actually automatically allow you to self-register. So here we are saying
Ian, are we together?
I hope you're able to hear me from.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. So I was saying, host, kindly, in case maybe my audio maybe fluctuates or disappears, kindly let me know.
All right, I will.
So here we are saying for those who maybe may not use the stock management, for those who are doing services, by virtue of them being services, services are actually intangible, so we are not going to be using stock management. For those who are using simplified solutions also, does not allow them to use the stock management section. And for any other person who may have been prescribed by the commissioner, also not need to maybe take record of their stock. So this one was just a point out on the same. So here we are saying that those transactions which are exempt. So those transactions are the ones which have been outlisted here. So we are saying emoluments subject to payee. I believe I'll start with that one. So this one are exempt because this one are under payee. For those who, for example, are employed, for example, they do not actually invoice their employer for them to actually maybe pay you your monthly salary. So those ones are transactions which are exempt. So expenses subject to withholding tax as a final tax. So those ones are also exempt. So for those who may have been doing maybe importation of goods and services, those ones go through another system which is called ICMS. So it's not, it's also an exempt transaction to the same. So we're also saying airline passenger ticketing. This one normally goes to an international charter known as IATA. It's also part of the exemptions. So if you are doing maybe investment allowances, so for those who maybe have maybe SACCOs, ETCs, don't normally issue invoice to your SACCO for them to maybe give you those allowances or profits in any case. So that same thing applies also to if there's an interest in income. So those ones are all part of the exemptions. So, but of course, we proceed to share this presentation. I just want to touch upon them so that you can be able to on the same. So here we also have fees charged by financial institutions. So those are some of the exemptions which are actually stated. So apart from that, I believe just as a part to form, so the information is transmitted to an authority system upon application. So if for example, through request or maybe through a certain incident, of course, the commissioner can actually give you a leeway or a means for you to maybe issue an invoice temporarily or transact temporarily, maybe if need be. So assuming maybe you are actually, you had maybe eTIMS or TIMS, and then by chance or mistake, maybe a device was stolen, etc. You can actually be given a grant to be able to issue an invoice through whichever means that will be thought to be uh, actually viable or applicable to your business. So this is just a layout on where to install eTIMS, on how to install eTIMS as well. Keep in mind everything is on our website. Once you log into, you search for KRA Home or kra.go.ke, you're able to find all materials in relation to eTIMS on how to onboard, on how to use the various solutions, on how to install it as well. Apart from that, you can also search for KRA TV on YouTube. You'll also be able to find out on various information on how to onboard eTIMS, which relevant platform you can use to onboard the same, and how to do various invoices. So that was just a breakdown on our end on what eTIMS is in comparison to Teams. We've given out a breakdown, or at least the various solutions of eTIMS. We've given out the exemptions as well. You're also being able to identify for both VAT and non-VAT taxpayers where they belong. Apart from that, we've also seen the onboarding process, how you're also able to onboard eTIMS and what are the requirements, which are actually the ID and a commitment form. That's if you're applying for eTIMS online and eTIMS client. For those who are self-registering for Citizen or USSD, it's actually a self-registration process, meaning it does not require an approval from us. So that's the brief on it. Of course, we have various extensions here, which you can reach out to us and our email as well. So the headquarter for eTIMS, which is Jekwa Towers, 8th floor, can also be able to assist on any other emerging issue that may occur in relation to eTIMS or the same. So I believe based on that, we can at least have a Q&A session. You can proceed to maybe identify those various extensions. You can reach out to us on our email as well. So I believe with that, we're closing the session. But in case of any queries, we'll be able to answer the same on the Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ian, for that brief presentation that we've had. I hope everyone has had a grasp of what Ian has presented through on eTeams. So we have a question that had been asked, and Sheila has been able to tackle them. Just look for those which have not yet been answered. And we have Mercy Obala. Yes, she's saying she works with a small NGO. They do not engage in profit making. Neither do they have the obligation. For what she has seen on the questions, we are not required to onboard on eTeam. Clarify on who is supposed to onboard, especially for the NGO people here. Yet, when I went to inquire at Career Eldoret office, I was onboarded as a client and instructed to learn more about it from iTax. Kindly advise way forward. Can answer that, Ian?
So we are saying basically most of the NGOs, if not all, are actually exempt. But if they have maybe any other businesses aside from, for example, them being an NGO, they might have maybe other businesses. So those businesses are the ones which will actually onboard on eTeams. So those are the businesses which may be making profits. For example, they have maybe any other rentals, ETCs. So those are the ones which are actually onboarding on eTeams. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ian, for that. I hope that is clear on your end, Mercy. If not, you can still channel your question for further query or call the contact centers as displayed on the screen. below. Yes, so as we proceed, we have several other questions. We have one from Wilfred. Wilfred is saying that you like clarification on claim of expenses during, during filing, sorry, that during the filing for income tax company, especially if the company is untaxable.
Pardon your question.
Wilfred was asking that you like some clarification on how to claim of expenses during the filing for income tax company, especially if the income is not taxable.
So under taxation, there are those expenses which are deemed to be allowable. So allowable expenses are those expenses which took part in terms of generating revenue for the business. So those are which are called allowable expenses. So you might find a company, for example, a company that does renovation, for example. Those expenses they took in, for example, purchasing of paints, ETCs. So those are allowable expenses in regards to that company. So those are the ones which you are calling allowable expenses, meaning they'll be used to reduce their tax liability once they are filing for their annual returns. But of course, that's on the side of filing returns now. But of course, those are what are deemed as allowable expenses, expenses that were uh, deemed to be in relation to transactions of the business. So those are what are called allowable expenses.
I hope that is clear, Wilfred. Still, you can still channel on your query for further clarification. Mercy Obala, I think, I don't know if you're in a position to unmute yourself and ask your question further, because Mercy, she's saying that she does not have any business. As an NGO, she does not have any business, yet we have been onboarded as clients. So she feels like she has not yet been answered. So if you're in a position to be muted, please notify me on the chat box, then I can be able to unmute you. As we proceed, Cynthia. Cynthia is saying, please give an overview on how to treat an invoice to a VAT exempt NGO. For example, how do I raise an invoice to NGO X, which will withhold all VAT amounts and instead issue an exemption certificate way later after the tax period?
Okay, I believe that question Sheila was actually answering it on the chat box, so
Um,
she'll be able to see that one as well.
okay. Cynthia, okay, let's look for you can raise your hand so that I can mute those who are able to like ask the question personally. For the meantime, the rest of the questions are being answered. So for those who've raised their hands, we have Lorna. So I can unmute Lorna. Sorry, Lorna, I've requested you to unmute, so I believe you're in a position to ask your question. If not, Mercy Obala, if you're ready, you can take it away. Good morning, Mercy. Mercy, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear
Yes,
me?
yes, I can hear you as
Yeah,
well.
very much. So as I had mentioned on the chat, I work with a small NGO here in Eldoret, and we
Yes.
received an email about onboarding onto eTIMS as NGO. So I visited the Eldoret NGO office and I explained to them that we do not engage in any income generating activities. So we do not really raise invoices. We only pay school fees. We sponsor our students to university. So they onboarded me onto eTIMS as a client. So they actually put the eTIMS in my laptop and I was not given any more information. They told me to go and learn from iTax, and I have not been able to do so. So from what I am hearing, we are actually not supposed to be on eTIMS. So I am wondering what is the way forward. What do I do? Because we don't have a VAT obligation, and we also don't engage in income generating activities. So we are not supposed to be there. So please, can you give me a way forward about that? Thank you.
Thank you, Mercy, for your question. Ian, I hope you had the question. You're in a position to take it away. Please do so.
Okay, so thank you very much for that one. So I guess maybe that one happened maybe okay, you said it was on board on on which station? Eldoret. So I believe in such a scenario, maybe while onboarding, not maybe backtrace, maybe they thought you had an actual maybe business in relation to it. But keep in mind as an NGO, if you do not have maybe any other business in relation to you as an NGO, you are not to onboard eTIMS.
Sorry, Ian. Mercy is saying she can't hear you. I do not know. Mercy, are you in a position to hear what Ian is saying? Mercy, are you in a
Yes.
position to hear what Ian is saying?
Now I can hear, but I was not hearing. I've not
Okay.
heard anything.
Okay, Ian.
Okay, so I was saying this for you as
Uh-huh.
an NGO, as I mentioned earlier, if you do not
Yes.
have any other business in regards to
Mhm.
you as an NGO, you are exempt. But keep in mind, if you have any other business in relation to you being an NGO, any other businesses,
Mhm.
you are supposed to onboard on eTIMS. So in your case, I believe maybe it was just not it's
Uh-huh.
something that can be reversed anyway. So
Okay.
once
Okay.
yeah, it's something that is not cast in stone, meaning it's something
Okay.
that can be
So.
reversed after due diligence has been done.
Mhm.
So it can be
Okay.
reversed on the side of eTIMS. Yes.
So what should I do?
I think first you can write to us on our email
Mm-hmm.
on team support. Then we can now
Okay.
proceed to do just the evaluation on the pin itself. Of
Okay.
course, indicating the
Thank you.
pin, then be able to at least
Yes.
reverse the process.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. But give us your details also so that we can be able to reach out to you.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mercy. But
Mhm.
Ian, as we proceed, we had Andrew. Andrew, you had a question also on your end. Andrew Maina, are you in a position to speak? If not, okay,
Can you hear me?
welcome, Andrew. Yes, we can hear you.
Correct. I had a question. It's a great session on the eTIMS. This small additional follow-up. When we have a training session for the process and importation of goods and services for NGOs, especially filling the paperwork, to contact, and the types of taxes as NGOs we incur.
Pardon?
I was asking, can we have a training session for NGOs that import goods and services and the tax applications when we import goods and services?
Yes, I believe we can be able to take that as a feedback and be able to set aside a training specifically for that. Thank you. Noted.
That'd be
You
fantastic.
had
Thank you.
any other question concerning ATMs?
No, eTIMS is great. Actually, it's a great presentation. Very well done.
Pardon?
No, I had no questions on eTIMS. Great
Uh,
presentation. Thank you.
okay, thank you very much, Andrew. We appreciate that. You can, we have Alan. Alan, I've given you permission to speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Alan. Yes, go on.
Thank you for this. I'm asking, I manage a local CBO. So we have partnered with another mainstream NGO to help in data collection creation for their services. So we always do quarterly invoices to them. So in this situation of eTIMS, where now you want us to get to eTIMS platform, how do we go about this?
question. Thank you very much for that question. So Ian, I hope you're in a
So
position.
just as a clarification, so you normally issue invoices on what transactions, based on which transactions?
Transaction to me, because we always do invoices to them based on the administration fee and the management fee for the quarter that we have worked with them. Hello?
So okay, so those ones. Okay, so as long as you're doing any transaction, so for example, you are saying you normally do management fees, right?
Yes.
And which other?
And management and administration fee.
Okay, so meaning for those transactions, if it's something that you'll require to actually issue an invoice, that would require eTIMS. But do you have a VAT obligation on your PIN?
Yes, I have the VAT.
Do you have a VAT obligation? So the invoices
What
that
do you mean by,
value-added tax, the
what do you
VAT
mean?
on your PIN, yes?
I think I have the PIN certificate, unless otherwise there is something that the VAT, I can't get it well. I'm not conversant with those terms. Yeah. Hello?
Okay, so we are saying this.
Yes.
I believe you've been transacting as a non-VAT taxpayer, first of all. So
Yes.
if you have to issue an invoice, which you're going to be paid in regards to your business,
Yes.
that one will require eTIMS. Though, of course, you'll be issuing that invoice the same way. For example, if it's per quarter, you'll now be accessing the eTIMS platform, actually issuing your invoice. But of course, that one will be trained after you've onboarded on eTIMS as well. But based on whichever application or whichever solution you'll be having, you'll now be advised on
Yes.
how to issue that various invoices. But yes, you can be able to issue it quarterly or based on the nature of your business. Because of course, as an
It is
authority, we cannot.
actually, it is not, actually, to make it so straight, it is not a business. It is what I'll say that is a service. Like the way the other lady has just talked, what we do is what is to help us. We are a CBO. A CBO is like a local NGO. It is we are a non-profit. That is to say, so we are not making any profit on what we do. We just manage. So what we that is what we get from them. That is the administration fee. Is for the phone calls to cover for the phone calls and the travel. Then the management fee is to help those whom we are giving these services, because it's an health project, so that they can access. So we help them access these services. So these are what we always get from them at the end of a quarter.
So as I mentioned also, for those ones which are non-profit organizations, those ones are exempt.
Okay.
Hi everyone, I have a question. May I go ahead?
Proceed, Cynthia.
Okay, so my question, I have seen Sheila has tried to explain, but I feel like I need further clarifications. So let's say I need to raise an invoice to an NGO. Yes, I know that the service is vatable. Yes, so I will raise a VAT invoice the normal way. And now this NGO will withhold the entire VAT amount and issue a VAT exemption certificate later on, say sometime in June. You see, now I'm left with the burden of still paying this VAT that I have raised the invoice for, while this NGO did not pay me the VAT amount. The NGO submits the entire VAT amount to KRA directly. So how am I supposed to go about this to avoid the double tax liability on my side?
Okay, thank you very much, Cynthia, for that. Ian?
Okay, I didn't get the full question, but what I can say in terms of withholding agents, for those who are withholding agents, when you go to, as soon as you transact, for example, you issue an invoice to a withholding agent, the first thing, they should actually have a withholding certificate. So once they have a withholding certificate, when they go to file their, when you go to file your returns, you'll be able to see those withholding as part of your credits, because they withhold a certain amount. For example, for 16%, they withhold a certain amount. So for you, it will be a part of a credit, because on your return, you can now be able to see those as part of withholding credits. So for your case, make sure once you transact with anyone who is a withholding agent, that they actually have a withholding certificate, because now that we have the release of the, it will be the release of the pre-populated return, any data that was transacted, as long as there was a withholding agent involved, it will automatically be displayed when you go to file your return.
Thanks, Ian. But if I may just give you the details, this NGO is GIZ. They will not withhold the 2%. They will hold the entire VAT amount, the entire 16%. But they issue an exemption certificate later on for the entire VAT amount.
So you say that the withholding agents are
GIZ. If you ever done any transaction with GIZ, they will withhold the entire 16%.
And
then issue an exemption certificate later on. You see now, for example, if I have raised the invoice in April, they will issue the exemption certificate later on, say in June. So you see, for my April returns, I will have to account for that 16%, which either way, hawakunilipa, they withheld the entire amount. So it becomes a burden on the taxpayer if the VAT exemption, if the exemption certificate is not processed in time. Maybe you can follow up and then I can get in touch with you.
kindly give me your details, because
Yeah.
what's supposed to happen in such a scenario, because withholding is normally at even 5%. The fact that they're holding the entire amount, it means that on your return, when you go to file your return, you should have had a negative of that VAT percent, which is 16. But you're saying they do not, okay, on the withholding certificate, does it normally come with that 16% withholding?
They do not give a withholding certificate, they give an exemption certificate for the entire 16%.
An exemption certificate?
Yes.
But are they withholding agents as well?
Yes, they do withhold, like withholding tax, yes.
All withholding agents have withholding certificate, then they should provide that one as well. Then yes.
They
Hello?
don't. They don't.
You can't have a withholding. You can't be a withholding agent if you do not have a withholding certificate.
Okay, fine, Ian. So the
that's why,
withholding certificate will be for 2%. Yes.
Yes.
So
So meaning it's not
the
16.
rest of the amount, what? How am I supposed to like fit that in my returns? Okay, I'll share my details. Please
On your
contact
end,
me.
you
Yeah.
Someone on the comment section is mentioning of the DA1 certificate from GIZ. Joseph?
Yes.
building certificate. The same thing applies if they are exempt the same way. Kindly confirm if I'm audible. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. You are.
So you're saying she transacts with an NGO, right?
Yes, Cynthia.
Yes. Yes, I have seen Joseph and Kevin are somehow familiar with the DO1 certificate. Yeah, so yes, I raised an invoice of eTIMS compliance certificate with the VAT and all those details. But now the NGO withholds the entire VAT, the 16%. But now they will not share the DA1, the exemption certificate, in April. Say they will share it in June. Now you see, in my returns for April, I will have to file my VAT returns. I will show my output. But I have not received this exemption certificate. And I also have nothing to show that the amount was deducted. You see, now that is sort of a double tax liability on my side. So that is just, I'm just trying to understand how I treat my returns.
Okay, so what I think we'll do in that scenario,
Yeah.
we'll have to visit the station so that you can address this one, because
Mhm.
I can see there are a lot of loopholes in this scenario. So I think you'll have to visit the station for your current company PIN,
Uh-huh.
so that you can also be able to address this issue, because I believe this one is actually a TSO issue, which can be actually be handled by the account manager. So under the TSOs, there are various account managers allocated to the various pins. They now will be able to address such a scenario. That will be the best first course of action for you to take.
Okay.
For that question, as we go on, we have Flavian. I believe Flavian had a question. Yes.
Hello.
You can. Yes. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Now, I have a question on. I think it's a general question. No?
Yes, you can
I've
proceed.
been trying to do VAT, and the section B of the cells there's the column for name of the purchaser, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this column, currently when I'm downloading the Excel file, it comes empty, doesn't have details. It has the PIN, it has other details, but it doesn't have the name of the purchaser. And you see, we have a situation like a petrol stations where you give so many ETRs to customers, more than 500. Now, when this column comes empty, you have to go check the PIN so that you can get the name of the purchaser. So my question is there a way we can you can help so that this that section comes filled? Are you getting me?
Yes, we are getting you, Flavian. Ian?
Yeah.
Okay, so now that one actually is not even okay on the side of eTIMS. That's normally on the side of another department known as BTO. But what normally occurs, if a pin was captured during a purchase, it actually allows you to automatically be filled in on a pre-populated return. But keep in mind that one has already been considered. It's something that was actually shown on the pre-populated previous return. So for now, we've just dealt with it, but it's something that we've actually raised from the side of BTO, because that one is now on the side of filing of returns. But yes, it has been considered. Thank you for that one.
Thank you so much.
For that question, as we proceed, we have Jen Muiti. Yeah, I've given you right to speak, so maybe if you are in a position to do so, yes. Jen, if not, we have Joseph. Pick the most available person. So Joseph, yeah.
Said some are not engaging in business, but they of course deal with the vendors now and again. Must the vendors be eTIMS compliant? And maybe if so, what are the sanctions? Because we deal with the vendors right left every other time, though not necessarily, no, we may not necessarily be engaging business. Thank you.
So as I mentioned earlier, while starting the session, for any persons who are dealing with business, they'll either require to onboard teams or eTIMS, purpose of them being able to do their transactions. That includes vendors, that is. So it's up to you to actually advise them on which on how to onboard eTIMS, but of course on our station as well, we are also assisting various vendors to onboard eTIMS as well.
Hello.
Yes, let me also put this house rules that we had. Our training today is specifically on eTIMS. So in case you have any queries that is not concerning eTIMS, that one we channel to our TSOs, that is tax service office on your region. Yes. So we proceed, Martin. Can go
Okay.
on with your question.
All right, thanks. Ian, my question is with regards to, I work for an NGO and it's basically an art gallery which is not for profit. And so like all our incomes are grant. And I've seen that you've rightly said that people who are like receiving grants, they're not necessarily required to be on board on eTIMS. But my question is like a follow-up question to something you've talked about vendors. So are all our vendors required to be onboarded on eTIMS, or is it that only those who with a VAT obligation are the ones required to be onboarded on eTIMS? Please advise.
Okay, so thank you for that one. Just as a clarification, we said onboarding on eTIMS is not just strictly for taxpayers who have a VAT obligation. You can onboard eTIMS as a VAT or a non-VAT taxpayers. So for those who do not have a VAT obligation, they can also onboard. That's why I say there are other simplified solutions, which include the USSD and the Citizen platform. So they can onboard, yes, but as a non-VAT taxpayer, meaning they'll not be filing the monthly return, which is on or before 20th of every month.
Okay, so understood. And maybe just to a clarification on something else. So ideally, if I'm dealing with vendors who are not onboarded, whether registered for VAT or not onboarded on eTIMS, those expenses will not be allowable.
Yes, you won't be able to claim anything that's not from either TIMS or eTIMS on any transaction, that is.
Okay, thanks.
All right, as we proceed, we had Ogola. Ogola, if in your position to speak, you can take it up. Not, we can take the next available person. So Alex,
Thank you,
maybe.
Ian, and everybody else.
Yes, welcome, Ogola.
Yeah, I was just taking from where there's a lady who talked about dealing with some NGO who delays in remitting or sharing with them the exemption certificate. Where I work also go through that. And I was wondering whether there's another formula or a way of handling this, because one, you find that this particular clients, one, they're VAT exempt, but still demand that you issue them with a VAT or tax invoice. And when they receive it, they'll strip off the VAT and pay you the net amount, and take 1 or 2 months before they share with you whatever the document. So my question to you is, how do you apply this document to claim a refund? Because by then you'll have paid the VAT, or use it to reduce your subsequent VATs. That is one. Number two, the second question is, I don't know whether you guys handled it, but just from my knowledge, for retail businesses who want to onboard on eTIMS or are required to onboard on eTIMS, how will they be handling these walk-in clients? An example is a pharmacy. How will they be handling walk-in clients for their sales, so that they record their sales on eTIMS, each sale per whoever walks in, and just to be in compliance with the regulations? Thank you.
And so maybe Ian, you can take it up.
Okay, thank you for those two queries. So I've actually seen somewhere here this issue, especially of those withholding agents, because as part of the VAT rates, there are actually 3 rates of VAT. There's general rated sales, which is under 16. We have 0 rated, and we have exempt. So most of them fall under exempt, if not all, as I mentioned earlier as well. When we say that they do not provide the withholding certificate, now that's where the challenge comes in, because I believe this one is actually more or less of compliance, because I believe once you've done a transaction of the same, especially now the fact that you are going to have the pre-populated return, because on the side of filing returns, as long as you did a transaction with someone having a withholding certificate, it should automatically be displayed on your page when you go to file return. So that's actually what has been happening for those companies who are dealing with anyone who is a withholding agent, for example. All your transactions will appear same way as the withholdings. But if they do not actually issue you with a withholding certificate, that should be most likely communicated to them in advance or reported to the TSO, so that you can be able to at least assist in the follow-up of the same. Secondly, I believe it was the question of walk-ins. So as I mentioned earlier, eTIMS can be installed on any solution that you have. We also have another solution, which is an Android PDA. So there are these Android PDAs, which are actually, they look like a smartphone, but they have a printer attached to it. So those ones are which a taxpayer can now receive eTIMS on that Android PDA for them to be able to handle the walk-ins. So it's more of a less like an ETR, but it's an actually it's a smartphone that has a print attached to it. It allows you to issue those walk-in invoices. So yes, these are the provision for that one as well. So as soon as they visit our station, of course, they'll be able to be advised on that one based on the nature of your business. But of course, this one is not cast in stone as well. You can also create a branch, for example, to be used at 2 points for selling it. Yeah.
Thank you for that. As we proceed, Ogola, I hope that was clear. We have Abdallah. Abdallah, if you are available, you can take it up. You have the rights, the leeway to ask your question. If not, we have Abdullah Karim, I mean. I've been able to unmute you, So you can take it up and ask your question. If not, Diana Adega. Okay, seems those ones are not available. So we have Caleb. Caleb, are you in a position to ask your question as we wind up our session? Okay, if not, Denise. Okay, I believe we've covered everyone. If you still have any query that need clarification, you can still channel them on our chat box. So we have the eTIMS team answering the question on that end. So I believe that was it for our today's session. Since the ones who raised their hands, I'm trying to give them rights to do so, but they're not in a position to speak and take it up. So I'd like to appreciate our dear taxpayers for joining this session today and concentrating on what we had for them. We really appreciate you for that. I'd also like to appreciate our eTIMS panelists. They've done a good job explaining this to you and bringing this into context that you are understanding it. And from our end as tax education, we'll bring you more sessions on this so that you can link you up with our tax experts to learn on different tax related matters. So every Tuesday as we head on until June 2024, the end of 30th June, we still are having the filing Tuesdays. So in that case, in case you still want to know how to file your return, yes, our sessions are still there every Tuesday at 11 o'clock. So every Thursday at 11 o'clock also we have our tax Thursdays, and for this week also as we head on to June, we also have this program called Tax Amnesty. Tax Amnesty is here for everyone. It is like a waiver and an exemption for everyone to start like on a clean slate. So if you've paid your principal tax, your PIN, to reset your email, or any queries that are related to filing your return, you can still contact our contact center. Our contacts are not on the screen as displayed here, but I'll let you know that they are there on our website. As well as for this training that you've had today, you can find it on our KRA TV. So if you missed the session and you still needed clarification on one of the questions that was asked or through the presentation that was done, then you can still find it there on KRA TV YouTube. Make sure to subscribe to our KRA TV as well. We appreciate you for all the years that you've given unto us. And that was it for today. So I'd like to welcome one of our eTIMS presenter to give us a vote of thanks from their end. And also thank you for being here. Thank you. Ian, maybe you can say something on your end.
Thank you very much for the coordination of the presentation, for the coordination of this forum, and we'd like to, of course, encourage for the same. Thank you also to Sheila, my colleague, who has actually given out majority of the feedback, of course, comprehensively. And we'd like to, of course, continue with such engagements to facilitate the taxpayers on their end. Thank you, and have a good day.
Thank you. I'll also like to appreciate Chris, our interpreter, for the good job done. Yes, on that regard, our meeting is still going to be running for a while. So if you still had the pending questions, our team, Ian and Sheila, is going to answer them. So we'll end it maybe at 1:30. Is that's okay with you? Yeah.
No, sorry, I think we are
No,
about
in the
to
next
end the
30 minutes. In the next
time.
30 minutes.
I think
The
we are about
meeting
to
is
enter.
ended. The meeting is ended by the answering, the chat section.
Okay, thank you very much. I know maybe that's why I enter another. So I believe we had also another session after this one. The next 15 minutes, so I believe we'll have to prepare for it in advance. So I'd kindly request maybe for the other sessions, we'll also be able to handle the remaining issues. But for now, I believe